is if you have any clue about notes, it'll show you the places to come in. But Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie. Second part. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie. Third part. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie. Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie, Gaudeamus, Gaudeamus Hodie.
Welcome to this gathering hosted by the Unitarian Universalist Church of Bowling Green. Whether you are here or online, we are so glad that you're joining us. My name is Amy Deputy, and I will be your service associate today. You may have noticed some pencils and papers that were being offered along with an invitation for you to write down your joys and concerns or any announcements that you bring in today. Please put your notes in the wicker baskets by the doors, and we'll collect them at the end of the offertory. Please take this moment to set your cell phones to silent so that we can be fully present with one another. This service is being live streamed in the small lounge near the main entrance of the building. If this large room isn't comfortable for you, you can go there now. Not true. We are a welcoming congregation. Whoever you are, however you identify, wherever you come from, and whoever you love, you're welcome here. Our Sunday services are different each week so that we can honor and learn from our wide array of traditions and beliefs. Today, our speaker is our very own Ryan Thomas, and Ryan will be speaking about imperfect beauty and the beloved community. For Unitarian Universalists, the flaming chalice is a symbol of the light of learning and the love of our community. As our congregation's chalice is lit, we invite you to light your own chalice at home. This morning, our chalice is lit by Silas. Thank you. May the light we now kindle inspire us to use our powers to heal and not to harm, to help and not to hinder, to bless and not to curse, and to serve in the spirit of love. Please join in singing hymn number 362, Rise Up, O Flame.
Rise up, O flame, my glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
This morning, James will be giving our opening reading.
We are one. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving with humility, and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one.
Thank you. Please rise in body or spirit as we sing together, Build a New Way. It's number 1017 in the teal hymnal.
We are
recently adopted UU values, transformation and pluralism. Transformation. Here we go. We adapt to the changing world. We covenant to collectively transform and grow spiritually and ethically. Openness to change is fundamental Unitarian and Universalist heritages, never complete and never perfect. Pluralism. We celebrate that we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. We covenant to learn from one another in our free and responsible search and meaning. We embrace our differences and commonalities with love, curiosity, and respect. Our sharing moment today will be presented by Amber Turner. I invite any children to come up.
I'm coming.
She's on her way.
It takes me a minute. Is this right, Forrest? Okay. What's your name? Emery? Nice to meet you, Emery. It's just you and me, bruh. I'm not going to make you do anything embarrassing, I promise. I called you up here because I was really excited to show you my cup today. It belonged to my great-grandmother, and on the way here, I broke it. I know. I'm clumsy. I break everything. But do you think you'd be willing to help me fix it? Maybe? Okay, that's fair. Do you have any ideas on how to fix it? Glue? Do you think it would just be regular glue? No? What kind of glue? Some super strong glue, maybe some E6000 Gorilla Glue, super glue. Tape? No? You don't think tape would work? All right. I have an idea. Have you ever heard of kintsugi? Well, I think kintsugi would work on this, and kintsugi is the ancient Japanese practice of fixing and repairing broken pottery and ceramics. And the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. Kintsugi highlights the cracks as part of the life of the object, choosing to showcase it rather than hiding it. It has similarities with the Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi, embracing the flaws and the imperfections. So if something's broken, you kind of try to glue it back together, right? But in the Japanese art of kintsugi, you highlight those flaws. So see how we have kind of some gold on here? And I actually have some pieces that have been repaired. If you want to take a look at those, maybe pass them around. Will you help me pass them around? Yeah? So that was a coaster of mine, and I broke it. And I glued it back together with gold powder. And this was a cup that got broken, and it's been glued back together. Do you want to start over there, and I'll start over here? So how do you think this pertains to relationships? You don't know? Well, have you ever gotten mad at somebody? Was it your parents? It's okay. Has anyone ever gotten mad at you? Like at school or, yeah? How did that feel? Did you want to repair that relationship? Yeah. Well, if you think about it, with many approaches to repair, the goal is to hide the evidence of the break, right? And with kintsugi, that is not the goal at all. The gold actually accentuates the fissures from the break, making them kind of sparkle and shine, so it kind of highlights it. The gold reminds us that not only can things be repaired, but the care taken to repair that relationship with your friends or your family, it's actually quite beautiful. And the new whole can be even more beautiful than your friendship or relationship before, because you're actually stronger, right? Or you hope that you're stronger. So after you feel like you've needed that space from that person, or you take a minute to calm down, think about what happened, and you're ready for that relationship that's broken to be repaired, it's important to feel those feelings, right? So it's important to be angry and to be hurt and to be sad and just to feel all that, right? But then it's also important to take that time and give each other some space and then repair that relationship. So what do you think you need when you're no longer upset with that person, or that person's no longer upset with you? You need to reconnect, right? So the act of repair is actually very beautiful. And sometimes the relationship is even more beautiful and more stronger than before, right? Or we hope so. So whenever you get mad at someone or someone gets mad at you, just think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, and you repair and you're stronger than before. And I like how Ryan put in that you sparkle and shine. So thank you for helping me today, and thank you all.
As the children go to their own religious exploration, please remain seated as we sing them on their way. Hymn 1057, Go Lift It Up, in your teal hymnal. Reflection and prayer. The singing bowl will lead us into silence. After the silence, you're invited to join in the song Spirit of Life, hymn 123 in the gray hymnal. The words will be on the screen. Unitarian Universalists have a wide array of beliefs, and the speakers at our Sunday services come from many traditions. With us today to share their thoughts is Ryan Thomas. Ryan Thomas is a member of this congregation and a Universalist, a Unitarian since 2001. Ryan has had experience in roles of leadership in his career at the University of Illinois and with organizations including UUCBG, where he is currently a member of the board of directors. Ryan participated this last year in the UUA program on sermon writing offered by the UUA called Shared Pulpit. Today's sermon is the product of that participation.
Good morning, everybody. And thank you, Amy, for bringing your gifts today, including your own singing bowl for us. Imperfect beauty. In the little Iowa town I grew up in, we didn't have a huge theater arts program, but we had one, and I was into it. I was a high school upperclassman, and we were putting on a musical. There was a younger student who played French horn. He was playing in the pit band for the musical. Let me ask, who here has ever tried to learn or had a family member try to learn French horn? Even professionals have a hard time playing the instrument. It's a hard instrument to play well. This boy and his French horn, bless his heart, it was pitiful and painful. He was often coming in at the wrong time, and when he did come in, it was a disaster. My upperclassmen friends and I, on the night of the performance, we wanted to figure out how we could avoid this embarrassment. In my small town school, the director of our theater program was only that secondarily. His main job was English teacher. And of course, in our small town school, that means he also did set design and construction, lighting, props, etc. He was a small but strong and quiet man. He had an air of rustic sophistication, moved slowly and deliberately, wore a beard, into literature, lived alone in a simple place in the country with his dog. So there I was, getting makeup applied by this quiet man, our director. My character had a beard and a mustache, so he was right in front of my face using spirit gum and some itchy wool material to install a salt and pepper beard and mustache to my young face. His primary diet, as far as I knew, was coffee and cigarettes. I remember smelling the tobacco and coffee on his breath, but I remember liking it. I liked and admired him, as we all did. So we, my upperclassmen friends and I, we crafted a plan. Our plan was to make the French horn mouthpiece disappear mysteriously just prior to the show. As I'm sitting there smelling the tobacco and coffee, an almost meditative experience, a friend came up and winked and nodded to indicate that the plan was in place. Our director asked what that was about. I shared the plan. I remember the silence. He continued to work on the glue and the itchy wool. Gradually, his hand started to shake a little, and when he spoke, his voice had the same shake. I don't remember what was said, what the quiet, slow words were, but I remember the feeling of recognition that this plan was a cruelty, the feeling of disappointment, of shame. The fear of embarrassment. the fear of what others might think, the desire to be seen as talented, intelligent, capable, competent, the desire for excellence or for perfection, for being right. These can be powerful forces. In my work life, I'm a data professional. I believe in the potential of data to inform. In 2012, Google embarked on a quest to find out what made their teams successful so that they could continuously improve teams for greater efficacy. They wanted all teams, all projects, to be more successful. They started monitoring projects, making observations, tracking characteristics. By 2014, they started sharing their findings. From a 2016 article from the Leader Factor, Google researchers concluded that the most critical factor was psychological safety. In other words, the teams that felt safe to take risks and be vulnerable with each other were the most successful. It's worth noting that psychological safety, they continue, isn't just about feeling comfortable in a team. It's also about being able to speak your mind without fear of judgment or retaliation. It's about feeling safe to take risks and make mistakes, knowing that your colleagues have had your back and support your growth. This article also cites Timothy Clark's 4 stages of psychological safety, and I'm going to share them with you because I think it offers insight as it relates to efficacy. Inclusion safety, feeling like you no longer need to prove that you belong. Learner safety, feeling like it's safe to make it known you don't know everything and that you have things to learn. Contributor safety, feeling like it's safe to make your voice heard. Challenger safety, feeling like it's safe to make your voice heard, even if it challenges group norms and or existing power structures. Growing up, I took on a fairly strong tendency toward perfectionism. I remember saying things in high school and college like, I don't expect to be perfect, but I believe in striving for it. I apparently had a lot of confidence in my ability to know what perfect was for the aiming. In later years, as a leader of teams and initiatives at work and as a participant in leadership training, I began to learn more about the potential negative impact of perfectionism and the blind spots and dysfunction it can create. I began to see things through a new lens. This lens was less oriented around what's right and more around what it means or meant to be one of many in a context of shared collective human effort. Phrases that stick in my mind from this time of learning include, work is a human endeavor, and a quote from Maya Angelou, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. I'm also reminded of a quote I came across more recently from Anne Lamott. You can either practice being right or practice being kind. Human endeavor. Nobel Prize winner on decision theory, psychologist Daniel Kahneman points out in Thinking Fast and Slow, evolution has bestowed upon us humans many biases, many of which, perhaps even most of which, we are blind to. We are built, we have evolved to jump, as he says, to unwarranted conclusions. Such biases in conclusion jumping may have served us well in the savannas of Africa, but are not always helpful in the pursuit of empirical truth. This is why it took so long for us to, as a species, come up with the scientific method, which is all about trying to get bias out of the process. We still struggle keeping it out of the process. Social psychologist Jonathan Haidt makes clear in The Righteous Mind with his analogy of the rider and the elephant that we humans tend to rationalize, sometimes applying great reason-based gymnastics to explain what our intuition, the elephant, tells us is right. To an extent we are largely blind to. I have lost some of my tendency to sacralize reason and debate after learning how readily we humans tend to rationalize our firmly held convictions that are based on intuition rather than empirical observation or flawless reasoning. Who here hasn't witnessed the use of sacred text or even some presumably scientific data to bolster any side of an argument? I still fall into it. I find myself much less motivated to engage in it than I used to. I don't trust my own ability to see when I am merely rationalizing, especially in the moment. With a loss in faith in my own and our collective ability to be free of bias and rationalization, finding the one right solution carries a lot less weight for me than it used to. It was and continues to be a huge change in perspective for me. Work is not what I thought it was. Again, don't get me wrong, I still get caught up in trying to identify the best solution. The tendency is still very strong in me. Just ask Forrest about whether that chord in Big Yellow Taxi is a 4 or a 1. But now, even sometimes in the moment, the logical, rational right is no longer paramount. And what is elevated in my mind and heart instead is the power and beauty of humans working well together. Work is not what I thought it was. Work is a human endeavor. If you were here for the Spiritual Explorers service on small groups a few months ago, back in January, you may recall something from the portion where we each shared what we have most come to value from our experience in the small group. A quick reminder about the felt experience of some of us in the group, and an explicitly articulated intent of the format we use. The format helps people avoid jumping in with their own thoughts in response to what someone is sharing, including such thoughts as unsolicited advice or a story of one-upmanship. The format helps inspire in each of us who share a feeling that we are being heard, that our perspectives are worth being heard. This creates a sense of psychological safety that inspires deeper sharing, more vulnerability. The format inspired a feeling among some of us that we are here for each other to listen, to journey beside for a time as we live this precious life. Psychological safety, journeying together for a time, living life. I mentioned earlier that a tendency toward perfectionism was or is part of my experience. It can be hard to put myself out there if I think my performance or a shared performance will be subject to criticism. You may have noticed that I'm not the world's best musician, but you may have also noticed that, in spite of that, I tend to participate in the musical experiences here in our church home. I saw a meme the other day that resonated with me, and I shared it with the music crew. It read, "I don't play music because I think I'm great. I play music because I think music is great, and I want to be a part of it." Clearly, the meme was talking about music and being a part of music, but I offer being a part of it is about living life. What does it mean to live life? What would life be like if one were beholden to a perfectionist's ideal and only participated in things one could be the best at? beyond reproach. The crew can tell you sometimes I get a little gushy. I'm so grateful to get to share our experiences. There's little I look forward to more each week than the joy of finding one path of many possible right paths with a collection of fellow journeyers. To work toward sharing a beautifully imperfect aesthetic experience. It is one of the most rewarding things in my life. And in retrospect, I see now it always has been. I just didn't always recognize it. I didn't always appreciate it. I didn't always understand it. We UUs tend to be a rather cerebral bunch. Sometimes our commitment to the value of questioning and challenging is a reflection of our tendency to be blind to our biases and privilege. It takes considerable safety to be ready for academic debate over our assertions. Not all persons feel that safety. Persons from marginalized communities especially so. Sometimes challenging can come at the expense of showing understanding and empathy. Sometimes, as they say, timing is everything. When is the time to journey beside? And when is the time for debate, for challenge? I'm reminded of the contemporary adage, don't read the comments. It is easy to throw out one's response to someone else's thoughts and feelings. And if we sacralize the questioning and challenging, we can sometimes think any time and any place is the right time to share our challenging response. There is real tension here between empathy and challenging, and tension between other things like listening versus unsolicited advice. And no two persons, let alone a community, is always going to get it just right. Being in a relationship means messy human imperfection. It means tension. It means hurt. Throw in power differences between people of privilege versus people of marginalized communities and the risk of hurt just from typical societal programming grows significantly. This is in large part why I believe covenant is so important for UUs. And you'll have noticed that in the new value statements, there's always a second line that says, we covenant. Why it gets lifted up in our discussions of who we are and who we aspire to be. In many ways, I believe covenant takes place of creed for UUs. For UUs, more so than other faiths that have a prescribed creed, a one way of being right, some statement of faith and some denominational interpretation of sacred text, we are committed to plurality, to diversity of thought, and it makes all the more important a commitment to one another to understand that we will make mistakes. We will sometimes unwittingly cause hurt, and that we are committed to figure out how to move through that in order to be in right relation with one another again. In UUism, accountability does not come from creed or the holders and interpreters of creed or sacred text. In UUism, accountability comes from one another. It comes from covenant. About that French horn player in the musical, I don't have anything particularly satisfying to report about my own behavior that night. I remember that the mouthpiece was returned before it was needed, but not before it was looked for. There was enough wisdom present in the collective that night, enough wisdom to recognize that getting things right is not paramount. enough wisdom to recognize that the real power and beauty of the moment is from people working well together. Author Brené Brown, an American author known for her work on shame, vulnerability, and leadership, wrote, "Those who have a strong sense of love and belonging have the courage to be imperfect." The courage to be imperfect. May we all find our path to a sense of love and belonging here and in this beloved community that provides us with a sense of safety and courage to live and to share a life of imperfect beauty. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. So I was listening to Ryan and the story of this bearded man putting a beard on a young boy and the mouthpiece missing. And I thought, where have I been in my life? Have I been the one that's stolen the mouthpiece? Have I been the artist putting the beard on another, or the young child getting the beard? And I was so touched by that story. And, for this week, that will be that beacon on how I measure my effect on others and my life. Just for a moment, whether it's the grocery store teller or myself. So thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful teaching. This congregation and the work that we do is supported by the voluntary generosity of all who contribute. The offering is a sacrament of the free church. You may place your donation in the plate as it comes to you, or on your way out, or use the QR codes on the screen, or donate via our website or mail checks directly, or skywrite it, whatever you prefer. As we enjoy the music, the offering will be given and received in grateful appreciation of our shared hopes and our shared values.
My heart
If you have any questions about Unitarian Universalism or about joining this congregation, please ask a member of our membership team. Could those people raise their hands, please? Or you may email membership@uucbg.org. On second Sundays, you can join in a Q&A with our team in the library. So now we move to news and announcements. Happening this week. These are also available on our website. And I believe Diane has an announcement.
Yes, next week we've been invited to table at State Street Baptist Church with the NAACP in a Get Out the Vote effort. And on the value wheel that you saw earlier, you would also see justice and equity. And this is a great time for us to go down and fellowship with all the folks down there. They're going to have face painting and food trucks. And so wear your t-shirt, and it starts at 1:30 next Sunday afternoon.
As always, you can find more community news by reading the weekly email updates, our bulletin boards outside, our website, and our Facebook page. After the service, you are invited to come to the fellowship hall next door for refreshments and conversation. And feel free to join in the discussion about today's service at the Reflection Round Table. And please rise in body or spirit as we sing "We Would Be One."
As now we join in singing.
Good morning. The prodigal son. We are all prodigal sons, children of many ages who have failed our parents, our loved ones, our own expectations of how we thought we would turn out. We all have fallen short of who we long to be. We are not as dependable or loving or successful or witty as we would like. Still, we yearn to run into loving arms. We ache to be enfolded in a spiritual community that recognizes even in our brokenness, we are holy. Can we be that community for each other? Can we enfold other people in the way we long to be enfolded? An excerpt from Stubborn Grace by Kate Landis.
We now bid farewell to those who have joined us online. We hope you have found this service meaningful, and we invite you to join us again either in person or online. We also invite you to share our thoughts about today's service via your online form with the QR code or by sending comments to sundayservices@uucbg.org. Be well and go in peace.